Welcome to Who Put This On, Season 5, Episode 30, where we watch The Great Christmas Light Fight, Season 8, Episode 1. I'm Chris Lorenz.
Hey, this is James.
This is BJ.
This is Brian.
Noah Singer.
This is Chris Max.
If this is your first time joining us, we watch a different reality show each week, critiquing and going through all the minutia. And what show do we watch this week, Brian?
We watched The Great Christmas Light Fight, where Carter Oosterhouse and Tanya Nyack judge elaborate Christmas displays created by families across the country. Each episode features the holiday home transformations of 4 families that were selected through a nationwide search based on past elaborate Christmas light displays, choreography, and extravagant designs as they compete to deck their homes out in the ultimate show of Christmas spirit. Once a winner is chosen, the judges return to the home to congratulate the family and present the $50,000 prize. That's The Great Christmas Light Fight on ABC.
Thank you, Brian. So this episode is you looking at 4 different sets of Christmas lights on houses, set displays, I guess, whatever we're going to call them.
Decorations.
Decorations? Okay. And then there's a winner.
The common term.
And there's one nitpick I have with the description itself as we get into this is that the host seems to be Tanya. There doesn't seem to be any Carter in this episode.
Yeah, I wonder if there's like a trade-off or maybe like earlier seasons had Carter in there. Like I could easily see.
There is no Carter. That's why we're just talking about it.
Is Tanya popular? What's the deal with Tanya?
Well,
She's from
season
H-
8.
Yeah,
So-
she's from HGTV, so she's an interior decorator superstar, and she's translated that into this.
What about exterior decorator?
Max.
I just want to say this lady is so popular, she doesn't have a Wikipedia page.
Which I found surprising. Yeah, she has her own website. She has like a decent IG going on. Been on HGTV a bunch,
What do you mean
like, but no wiki.
No, I have some beef. You used the word superstar to describe Tanya, and I'm
That's
gonna
how
go.
she describes herself.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure.
yeah.
I want to know where that came from before, and I take some umbrage using the word
It-
superstar. But if she uses it, okay.
It's her
I'll
website. She has 32,000 followers on Instagram. One very weird fact on her Instagram. You can have like a URL, like one URL in your profile. That one, what?
Link in bio. Everyone knows. Yeah.
Link in bio, sure. So her link in bio is to a Zoom meeting.
Is it this Zoom meeting?
It's like a legitimate, just random Zoom meeting.
Can you
Wait, what-
click on it for us?
What's her? Can you tell me what her handle is?
It's her name, Tania Nyack.
Literally,
Okay.
guys, it doesn't matter. Social media doesn't matter.
Sure.
Do you have a small follow-up? Carter is on episode 2 of this season, so they seem to alternate episodes.
Okay. All right.
Good. Thank you for that.
Thanks, Brian. So Tanya's our host. People seem to really love Tanya. Obviously, the crowd is pumped or is like primed for the show. So like, when you see Tanya go big, blah, blah, blah. But like some of the people seem really like Chaz, which we'll get into. Chaz seems super excited to meet Tanya. So like,
Chris, she's a interior decor superstar, dude.
Yeah.
well,
you-
these are exterior decorations, Max. So
Yeah, we actually missed out. So earlier today, that Zoom link went to My Hip Hop Fit with Tania. So we missed out. It was at 3:30.
Genie Fit.
all right. Well, there you go. If you want to join some random Zumba class, that's where you can go get it.
It's not a
Um,
Zumba class.
It's it's a
On Zoom.
fit class.
No, I thought Noah said Zumba. What did Noah say? Fitness class. Sorry. Heard
Fitness,
Zoom.
Is Zumba still a thing?
All right,
Yeah.
we'll move on. Let's just move on. Let's talk about the first house to get us moving a little bit faster here. We got the Reynolds family. They're in Utah. They did a Christmas garden was their theme. And they just they have like a little farm, and they went through and put lights everywhere, and all the lights kind of look like vegetables, and they had like a greenhouse. They made it look like a barn. Kind of looked like almost three separate kind of places where there was like the house, and there was a garden, and there was another section behind the garden. It looked pretty good, I guess. I don't know.
What? Just pretty good?
So
It was
I
amazing.
I don't know.
personally like to call it a Christmas garden theme is kind of loose. Like it literally was a garden with Christmas decorations, which they went with the garden theme, but like
That's what they said it was. I didn't make that up.
Superstar.
They said it was a Christmas garden theme. I didn't say it. Like, I'm just repeating.
Like, you're in a garden, like that's your choice, right? Like if I was to decorate a plane, I couldn't go with a train theme. I would have to decorate as a plane.
No, I think that would be a good challenge if you were going to make a train out of a plane.
Anyway, so in that family, we see the parents, their son, daughter-in-law, and the daughter and the son-in-law. And I am unclear, like in the garden, you actually kind of see 4 different sections. One is clearly the garden. It seems like there's at least 2 houses. So I don't know if like 2 parts of the family live in that giant, like big complex effectively. And like one has like, seem like they just have kind of houses around that garden, and like all 3 parts of the family live next to each other, kind of together, but not really together.
Yeah. And it was all the like women were the one doing all the lights.
Right. And the men were unhappy because they had to change diapers.
I don't. And
It kind of seemed like they were joking about that. They were like, "Oh yeah, haha, this is like hard work," but then like they also mentioned that like yeah, they were happy about it.
Right. I'm sure they loved being on TV, right? Like they're like, hey, like our house has the best decorations in like the state. This is great.
Maybe.
I'm going to ask the question everybody's asking. Is this a cover for them being polygamists?
No,
I did not think about that.
they're all like,
Where are they located, VJ?
okay, I understand, but like we're not
Just
about
kidding.
parents, son, and daughter. Like we're like you can't just say polygamous and not talk about the incest part, because that would be the most critical part of the conversation. So unless you want to ask that question, which also my answer is no to, I don't think this is the case.
What if the family's just like cover for ABC?
What if?
I guess that's fair.
Okay, all right. So the one thing I have a beef with this show is like, okay, they get a nice like overhead view of everything, but they never give us a good walkthrough. They're always like, look at this little spot, look at this little spot. I never felt like I was actually at these places. Am I the only one?
No,
Like, there's no,
I
like-
completely agree.
There's no like slow pan. Like I want, if you're gonna spend 5 minutes on all this stuff, like I need to feel like I'm there.
I just don't know how well that's doable. I agree that that wasn't there, but I just don't know if that's actually like going to be representative of like what the deal is.
So I think for the next house, it would be really, really good to have a walkthrough. I think for some of them though, like having just like focal points for like, oh, you'd stop and like observe everything, it makes a little bit of sense. And even like with other light shows, like you might not be consistently driving through, like you might just stop for a little bit and like take in like this entire scene.
I mean, this
It
show,
also
needs to be an
it-
Oculus show.
Yeah. What's up, VJ?
This show needs to be like an Oculus kind of show. Like that's kind of like the thing.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking like this would be great in
That-
VR. This is
Yeah,
terrible on TV.
I mean, we kind of saw like 2 different setups. Like one of them was pretty broad, and like there wasn't like lots of small detail, right? It's more of like the big picture. And then 2 of them, there was like really small detail. And so I think like the pan around walkthrough works better for the first 2, where like a big picture. With the last 2, I think it would really undersell like kind of all the work they did.
I just think they do a really poor job of making me like even think that I'm there or like have a good picture of what it actually looks like, which is really surprising because you've got 4 houses over 40 minutes. So like you have so much time. Like it's so much padding in this damn thing. Should be a fucking Quibi show. But like that I digress. No, no, I give me a
You
thumbs
can
down.
digress.
I was pouring some out.
Okay. All right.
But-
Can't see
But
that.
Chris, I am with you in that this show doesn't really give you that you really gone there, right? Like you don't get that there. And another thing to pile on, why do they insist on having these floodlights on? It's a Christmas light show, and they just have like these giant street, like bright white floodlights. That's just like I guess there to illuminate the crowd so you can see them. But like, why don't they turn those off when they do the reveal? It's just like, oh, turn the lights on, and it's way too bright. You can barely see it. Pet peeve. I'm calling them out.
I didn't
People
even
can't
realize
seem to get a
that.
light reveal right.
Didn't even realize that, James. And you're probably I'd imagine it's so that you can see Tanya. Like,
Oh my God, Tanya! When are we gonna get to the part where we just say Tanya's terrible?
we just did.
I think James, you're getting ahead of us a little bit in the production schedule, but the cinematography of the show has to be super tough. Like actually, like getting this on video and for the lights to pop correctly with all the colors, that is no easy feat.
I don't care how hard it is. You have this show, your ABC money. You've got 40 minutes to entertain me. Like you got 10 minutes per house. You gotta
Like
that's gotta be good.
I agree with Chris that like if they don't think that's possible, then don't make this show because that's the whole show. Like don't try to do the impossible, but then like skip out on it.
I don't know. I mean, there's season 8, so like, and I looked at the
It's
ratings. It's got like a 4+ rating, so like, that's pretty high rating for 2020.
Yeah, this is like a really easy reality show, right? Like you don't need to cast like characters that are like have good drama together, pair them up, do interesting challenges, right? Come up with all those like things that they got to pull out of their ass. Find people across America who love making their house crazy. Get 10 neighbors to come look like there's a bunch of excitement. You're done.
I mean, it's definitely easier than most. I'll give you that.
I think not even like most. Like this is like close to top easy.
Have you seen a show called Nailed It? Because that seemed pretty easy. But anyway, let's talk about our next house. We got the Fire family. That doesn't seem right. Anyway,
Fiore.
I think I got a spell checked on that. Wilmington,
Fire-
Massachusetts. It's town themed, they said.
What a theme.
So this is where we meet our buddy Chaz, and all the lights have to be 2.5 inches apart because Chaz has OCD.
But Jazz is in the Fury family, is it? I thought Fury family is the later family.
No,
No, I think
it's Fury, Travisano, and Barbary family, and Chaz is in the Fiery family. So whatever. I don't know what's the name again.
Fiore.
Sorry. Yeah.
The Fiore Fest. Check out that documentary on Netflix.
I mean,
Or Hulu.
we gotta say it though, right? Like Guy Fieri would be a way better host for this show. Like, hands down,
they can't afford Guy Fieri though.
for sure.
They need the excitement. And they can afford guys. Why can't they? They can.
I'm just
Just said that, pulled it out of his butt. You got called out.
I was just making a joke. Anyway, yeah. So this one they built up like facades of a town in like a couple months and like lit them all up, including their house. And all of these buildings are just covered in lights. There's no like you can't see anything but lights.
These guys must have a ton of land. Like pretty wild.
That also took like 3 months with like multiple people. That's so much time for this.
Yeah, I think the most impressive thing about theirs was they had these facades, and like, well, that's impressive. There was a whole scaffolding system behind the facade, such that you can walk through it, stand on a little porch. Like, that was impressive.
And they all had different themes. They had different fronts, like, and then they had their own house. It wasn't just the mini town. Like, I mean, they did a lot. I have to give them some props. I definitely could see myself like one day if pre-COVID, like, hey, let's go check out these lights if it wasn't like too far away.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to go check it out. If it's close by.
That's true.
Yeah, we got Candy Cane Lane over here in Seattle. And we have the Rosebud Motel. We have our own little attractions.
I've been to Rosebud Motel.
Why does this sound very sketchy? Like, I don't know what it is you guys are talking about, but it sounds like
too long. Don't know is that someone in Seattle made a mini Rosebud Motel from Schitt's Creek in Seattle, and you can go visit and take photos.
What happens at the Rosebud Hotel? Is it like, do you pay by like the minute, or like what's the deal?
Yes, if you're tiny enough, you can fit in the tiny Rosebud Motel, and you could pay someone.
Yeah, it is a stable character setting for Schitt's Creek, and then Candy Cane Lane is just like a famous like street in Seattle that does like everyone does lights on it. It's like a new village. There's also some sort of manor with a bunch of streets that have a bunch of lights. Anyway, so here's how interesting the show is. Chaz, he's a little special. He's definitely super excited to see Tanya. And like I don't know, he's just super awkward. Like, I think that he really like has a big crush on Tanya, and that makes him really awkward in the show. And I thought that was great. I also think their outfits were great. They were wearing like all different colored suits, and he had like some crazy suit on. Definitely like a Dumb and Dumber kind of thing.
Okay, Chris, gotta disagree with you because they really fucked up the suit situation. The main attraction, the light suit, did not have any lights on it. Complete ball drop.
Just like a light pattern, but not actual lights.
Right. If you're gonna do that, like just go all out. Put Christmas tree lights on your damn suit.
He's too busy putting this fucking town together, Brian.
Sorry, I guess it was coming in under the wire. And then they said, put your lights down or whatever. So, they got to have some contest then.
One thing that we didn't actually talk about in the first house, but like a couple of these houses had like a special light up ceremony kind of thing. So like in this house, they had Tanya break down a faux brick wall with a sledgehammer to turn the lights on, which didn't make any sense to me because how is the wall breaking down, turning the lights? Like, that's just asinine. Like, we know you just click the button. This is stupid.
The lights were on the whole time. I don't think they say the lights are turning on. That's just how they reveal the lights.
Maybe. That's not how it seemed to me.
That she's busting into. That's kind of the idea. It's a secret Christmas lane.
Oh, it's like a Harry Potter kind of thing.
That's what I took it more as. I don't really know.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
Look,
I mean, that makes more sense.
Breaking the wall for the reveal was stupid. Okay, we all agree.
I thought it was fun. I like the
first house had like some sort of water, like old time water thing. I don't know.
A pump?
Water pump.
It's like the name is escaping me.
That was
a much better one because you could see that being clicking a button.
And it had blue lights for the water. It was great.
The water pump would have been really, really cool if the water kind of flowed through the lights and not all the lights came on at the same time. And it was like the lights kind of lit up gradually and you kind of thought like that would have, if they had done that, I feel like they would have been immediate winners for me.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been cool, but also pretty hard to do. Like, just like you'd have to get your own microcontroller to like figure out how to get those lights to light up slowly one at a time, and then like you do that for the whole thing.
It can be one section at a time and just like flow through the house. Like it doesn't have to be perfect, but like I'm just saying, like they said it's like the water. Then like the water doesn't just like water kind of flows. That's kind of like part of it, the deal, right?
Well, the light it did technically flow. If you had like a trillion per second like camera, like you could see the light kind of flow, which they could have done on the show, but they didn't.
Yeah, like if my eyes were faster than the speed of electricity, yeah, sure.
It's because ABC is so cheap. They could have done it, you know. Disney.
They don't get
those
gas
eyes?
scary. Then they don't make my eyes faster than the speed of electricity. I can't believe these cheapskates.
All right, let's go to the Travisano family. They're in Missouri. They had a teddy bear Christmas land, and they had a North Pole master switch.
That was the dumbest one.
Thought we already talked about the dumbest one.
No. The wall's better now that like we have like a Harry Potter theme behind it. The lever's fucking dumb.
Okay. Yeah, so this one was like a family, and he was doing it for like 40 years or something, and there's a bunch of teddy bears, a bunch of stuff. I don't know. They like this one has like the most nondescript. I can't even give a good description.
I feel like it's just simply traditional. Like
This is-
that's all this was.
Wait, this was the two brothers?
No,
No, this
So
was the guy.
Yeah.
the guy and his family, his son.
Yeah, the guy whose dad was killed in the Vietnam War when he
Right.
was 5 years old.
I got confused because he said the 40 years. I thought the 40 years were the brothers.
Yeah,
These are-
yeah,
These
you mixed
are
up the
30
years.
years or something. Like,
28 years. He's been doing it for.
Like,
Yeah,
okay.
him and his son.
Yeah. It definitely felt like, oh, you could go down a street and see this one. Like,
this
it didn't seem like obnoxiously obscene.
the thing is they're just on the wrong show because this show is like clearly about the lights and their best parts are like the figurines basically they make, right? And those were incredibly well made, and it sounded like they were making them every year and they're making new ones every year, which is really, really incredible and really hard. That's just not what like I at some point we have to discuss like what the judging criteria of this show is, and I don't really understand. But it seems like
We'll get into that.
figurines is not it.
I mean, that's a good point. Like they said they had 100 or some teddy bears or something like that. But the show kind of really focused on the lights.
Right.
And not so much on like the intricate statues or
So these are the ones that like they call like the vintage look, but they're not vintage, right?
yeah.
Yeah, the vintage Nutcrackers, but they were brand new.
And they were really well made. I really thought that they
Yeah.
had like bought like just like done more like A, like bought some of them, B, also like had reused them year over year, but it sounded like they were kind of making new ones every year.
I'm sure they're reusing and making new ones, but
Right.
Let's talk about our last house.
I have another fun little fact about the Nutcracker thing. Like that kind of reminded me of the house down the street from our friends Rob and Emmy, who have the Nutcracker decorations, right? And so
Oh, yeah,
that's kind of
yeah.
what I was thinking about. But like they haven't made those. They're just like they have them from some show or something.
Yeah, they have them from the Nutcracker in
Or kind of
Seattle,
situation.
and they got to put them outside their house
Right.
because the Nutcracker isn't happening this year.
A
COVID.
very
R.I.P.
specific reference.
Well, if you're in Seattle, there's got some good tidbits. Go see the Rosebud Motel. Go to Candy Cane Lane. Go see the Nutcracker stuff out in Ballard. There you go. Or if you don't live in Seattle, don't come here because we don't.
Don't come, he says.
Come next
Get
year.
out.
Come next year.
Get
Next year.
vaccinated. We'll see.
All those things will exist next year, so you're not missing out.
Maybe better than ever.
Oh.
So we got the Burberry family. These are two guys in New York, Deer Park, New York, and they're
Long Island. We got 2 Long Island shows back to back.
Hey,
it
hey,
says
you-
Deer
you-
Park. Okay,
Yeah,
Get
Deer
outta here.
Park's a town on Long Island.
no one knows that.
That's true.
I
No
actually
one
did.
knows that.
I've been to Deer Park before, so I didn't know that.
Chris,
Uh,
continue.
What's more specific?
I'm trying to
for the
continue.
Nutcracker House. I feel like Nutcracker House is more specific. Like far.
Well, it's one house versus a town, right? So like it is more specific.
All right. Their thing was Lights on Liberty because they were on Liberty Street. And these guys, they're like brothers. They've been doing this for 40 years, as I mistakenly said for the last group. And they do like a bunch of electrical, mechanical kind of like displays. Like definitely feels like classic Disney World-esque. Like little like kind of vignettes where things are like moving around. Very complicated. Looks very janky, but
Jeez,
most interesting.
Wow. Wasn't there something like
So
90 animatronics?
Something like that, yeah. I have another comment about the 40 years thing. the guy makes it a point to say he's been doing it for 40 years and his brother's only been doing it for 37. Like, if I was him, I'd just be like, yeah, we've been doing it for like 40 odd years. Like, why is he trying to make sure people know his brother wasn't there at the beginning?
Because he's an asshole.
Right?
Got a stick of him.
Somebody, Noah, find him on Instagram and tell him he's an asshole.
Barbary.
Burberry is how Chris called them.
Yeah, Burberry. Yeah.
The Burberries.
The Burberries.
They also have a store. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
heard of them.
Yeah, the Burberries of Deer Park.
I thought they had a really good chance of winning because I thought that like some of the stuff they did was super cool. Like they had like a book that like opened the pages and it was like 8 foot tall. Like you could sit and read like some Christmas story. I thought that was super cool.
The mechanical engineering stuff that these guys did was by far the best, right?
It was the most interesting part of the show.
The one thing I had is like some of the stuff they'd just done it analog, even though you really don't need to for the last like 30 years.
Well, I mean, like until like a Raspberry Pi or something comes around, like doing some of that stuff's pretty hard.
No, some of that stuff's been easy for a long time. Like for them to like, you know, just like the thing that they talked about, the magnet, like changing the light, like, you know, lighting up the light. Like, you don't need the magnet to do that. Like you just have a button at the bottom. Like it just, you know, you don't need that.
You know, they know what they know how to do, dude. Like that's they doing it. That's what I said. It's like classic Disney World. It's like if Disney World stopped at like 1972 and they didn't try to make anything new, like this is what you would end up with. It's just like all these analog kind of like displays. They even had like a Disney kind of like ice rink where they had Mickey and Minnie and like Donald like in this like ice rink kind of thing. Which I was like, I was expecting them to get a cease and desist, but somebody reminded me they were on ABC.
Well, you like they're not doing anything wrong. You're allowed to buy like Disney stuff and put it outside your house.
I think they made it. You think they bought those?
Yeah, they bought the like I don't know if they were dolls necessarily. Like it looked like it was on point. Like the characters didn't look like fugly. You know, like the Times Square like Mickey Mouse. Like they were on point. They just put it on a little like platform that moved around.
I agree with Noah here, and so they are allowed to do that. The part would be questioning like on the cease and desist would be like ABC putting it on TV, but ABC is owned by Disney, so they're in the clear on that.
I want to say that the best part of the show for me was like this piece where they were showing how all the stuff works, because that was actually interesting. Like, oh, they've got magnet here. They got like they had like 30,000 feet of chain or something underneath the book to get it to work the correct way.
30,000? I don't
remember.
That's so much.
Some sort of length of chain. It seemed like a lot.
Feet. Like, could you imagine? Like,
that's the whole house.
That's like up and down Mount Rainier. Like, that's how much chain we're talking, Chris. Like,
it's very complicated, James. Very complicated. It's a very small chain.
One of the things I did really like though was they had this like I think candy machine or candy maker kind of machine, and it was sort of like these like I don't know like about a foot diameter like white peppermint kind of like hard candies, and it was really cool. They were going around this conveyor belt, and they were white at some point. They sort of passed through. They got some animatronics doing stuff. Wow, magic! And then the candy comes out the other side of the machine like with the red swirl on it now. And then they kind of show you the behind the scenes of like how it's working. They're like, oh, it's an illusion. They got some different things. I thought that was really neat. It was a really cool part of the show.
If the rest of the show were like this, it would be rated very differently.
One thing again is like I never felt like I was there. Like I never got a sense of how this whole thing was laid out, how you walk around all this stuff. Like it's so stupid. Like what's like terrible.
Yeah, like the fourth house was most fun to watch because like it was more like a Rube Goldberg machine, right? Like basically like it's kind it kind of felt more like that rather than just watching a bunch of lights light up, and there's more moving parts to it.
Like I want to watch their YouTube channel on like their mechanical engineering for some of this stuff. Like give me like a good 15, 20 minute how you put together this thing and how it actually works. Anyway, let's get to the how they rate how the winning house. So the winning house was the Chaz house, the town setup.
The wrong house.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't know which one was the winning house.
No, we should all say like what how.
What house would you have given it to, Babov?
I would have given it to. So like this is why we have to discuss the criteria. Are we discussing purely the lights, or are we discussing the whole thing?
No, whole thing.
That's the whole thing.
Whole thing has to be the last one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. But also, even if we say like, hey, the last one, we're not taking into account the mechanical engineering part, and that's not part of the criteria, the first one's still better. Like they had so much thought. They had like little different things happening. They had like a little pond. They had like melting snowmen. They had the garden area. There was like 4 different areas, and like there was so much more design. Whereas like the Chaz one, he just did the same thing like for 50 feet, and then yeah, like he was just very meticulous in it. Cool, but like there's no like ingenuity. Like there's no like.
The other ones had ideas, and that one was just Christmas lights times 100.
Right. Done very, very well, right?
She was so impressed by like a balcony, like personally, whatever.
Did we ever get to see the view from that balcony? I
No.
kind of zoned out.
No, and that's also pretty bad. Like if you would actually show that view and panned
Because
around,
that view was garbage. That's why.
They definitely showed the view all of like a half a second. It was like fine. It was like okay. It's a bunch of lights from the other angle. Exactly what you thought it would be.
James, who do you think should have won?
I mean, I like the last one the most. Like that was just the most like creative and like the engineering aspects of it. I found really intriguing. So I mean, like the last house, Liberty, Lights on Liberty. You know, the name though, they really just were not creative in the name at all. It's a very engineered name. It's like I don't know. We got a bunch of lights and we're on Liberty Street. We're gonna call it Lights on Liberty.
I feel like they were doing lights, and then someone like around town started calling them, "Hey, have you seen the Lights on Liberty?" And that's it.
That was it for sure.
I mean, that's sometimes simple is better. No, or James, like sometimes.
I'm not saying it's a bad name. I'm just saying it was a very.
They should have just said they have no name.
That's the Lights on Liberty. That's that.
Who do you think should have won?
I like the first with the garden. Like that one, I felt hit the nail on the head for the show. Right, so the show is the light fight. Right, like okay,
Light.
cool. We're in a light fight, and they like told a story. It was like very creative how they wove the light throughout the garden. Compared to Chaz, like impressive what he's able to build. Right, like don't want to take that away, but it definitely wasn't as much of like a story being told. It was just like a lot coming at you. And then the other two is not really lights. You know, they're like set pieces. Very cool, but it's not it's a light fight. No,
I feel like Chaz got complimented about his carpenter work, but the last people not for their like mechanical work, and that seems unfair.
Brian, who do you think should have won?
number 1, I thought they had the best theme, and like when they just like panned over like the entire thing, I was like, whoa, this is something that could spend like an hour in easily. I think the mechanical one was still really good. You just couldn't spend as much time there and just be like wowed.
I don't know, dude. So I think 4 should have won the way the show showed it, because it like they really went intricate detail. Like it's the most compelling part of the show. But like if I'm going based on just the lights alone, from what I could see in the show, I think number 1 had the best lights.
Right.
But I think the real criteria for the winning of the show is who's going to have the best like winning, like who is the best person to come out and say that they've won, who has the best like sob story, or just like they're like some sort of story anchor that ABC's looking for. And that's the only really reason I could see Chaz winning. Like Chaz just kind of like, you're 23, I can't believe it, you're like you made this whole thing like because 23 is like the new 12. Like, anyway, that's the only reason I could see why Chaz won. To be honest, but again, it
Chaz
could be
does-
different if you're there. Like when you're at these places and seeing them, who knows?
They emphasize Jazz having the most Christmas giving spirit, right? Like that's kind of the thing where like he's doing it for everyone else, whereas everyone else just seems to be doing it for decorating their house. And that is, I think, like your story part is correct. Where like what's the best story, and like they just kind of promote him as the story of like, you know, giving. He wants to make the other kids around happy, whereas everyone else just wants to be happy.
I think if you ask that question to every single one of those people, they would be like, no, like they're
I'm not saying it's
everyone's doing
for
it for themselves to make other people feel happy, which makes them feel happy. So they're doing it for themselves.
I'm just saying that the show makes a point to portray it in a certain way, where like when the jazz section is on, they kind of talk specifically about him doing it for other kids, and they don't really do that for other folks.
They
Yeah,
did it for the Travisano dad. Like he said how much he found value in the teddy bears, and he wanted to give other kids that joy with the teddy bears. But definitely the first and fourth one was a bit more of like, well, yeah, you know, we kind of like doing this, and so, you know, we just like keep on doing it.
All right, let's get the questions. Let's who's the worst human being? Is there one?
The host, terrible.
Producers, cameraman,
Maybe producers like not giving enough time to the houses
Editors?
and like panning through.
I mean,
think
like,
it's,
being bad at your job does not make you a bad human being. Let's speak.
I think
No.
it's Tania for giving the award to the wrong people.
I don't think she got to decide.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think she gets to decide. But I don't know if she's an executive producer. She probably does have a good idea. She probably has a.
She's not even in every episode. I don't think she has to decide.
You don't know.
I do know.
I'm gonna say the writers. Tania like had these like very soft jokes. She, you know, was like, "Oh well, I love shopping," and they were as funny as that. And you know they have writers, right? Like all these shows do.
Oh,
I
I
really
have
would
some
hope
of
they would
those
beef
written
it up.
down. Would you like a sample of some of the
I would
jokes?
love a sample.
Again, being bad at your job does not make you a bad human being.
I agree with Vabuff there. But in terms
is
of the
fair.
show, so her one for the garden, she was like, they got fresh ideas. You know, I mean, fresh. Like, I can't even do as good as she did with that line. So props to her.
There was a nailed it one too, right?
Yeah. There was a
Yeah.
nailed it joke.
Yeah,
It was
on
with
the,
the
on the
houses.
lights.
There was
Yeah.
one where they were in Wilmington and she was like, Chaz, you're wicked smart. Because it's funny to do accents.
It's like the most basic Boston joke.
Wicked smart. Yeah. Okay. We're moving on.
There
Is
were
this-
no bad human beings in
Yeah,
this.
I
Everyone's
think
a
we're
good
going to
human
skip
being.
on.
I mean, if it's
Yeah.
a relative ranking, the guy who makes it a point that his brother was not there for the first 3 years.
Oh, yeah. We did call him. Yeah. I think he wins. It's always relative to this episode of this
Right.
TV show. So, like, compared to, like, the challenge, like, everyone on the challenge is below everyone on this show.
I don't know about everyone.
Whoa. Let's keep it rolling, guys.
And we don't know much about these people. These people could be murderers for all we know.
Well, on this show.
The light murderers?
All right. Is this the apex downgrade or upgrade for this host, Miss Tanya?
What else has she done?
She's an HGTV superstar. Don't you know?
I feel like getting promoted from HGTV to ABC, maybe.
I think this
Yeah,
is
that's big. It's big time.
so. This is season 8. I don't know if she's been the host the whole time, but like, I think this got to be her apex, right? Like prime time, 4 point plus, like million viewers. That's pretty big. Like
She's
you're
doing
not
good,
getting that show, and people
I-
seem to like her.
Yeah, definitely Apex, because she's like HGTV to ABC. And I think the question is, can she parlay this into something bigger?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, primetime network TV, like this is not gonna get better for me.
But she
Great,
only has
yeah.
30,000 followers, though. That's not a lot.
No, that's pretty low.
Let's go with most baffling or cringeworthy moment. I think Chaz. Chaz is a pretty baffling, cringeworthy moment.
I mean,
Brian, you got
being
one?
Price to the wrong house seems pretty cringeworthy.
When Tanya was eating a raw water turnip or raw winter turnip
Oh.
out of the garden.
Can you
So
make turnips and can you grow turnips in the winter? How does that work?
I don't know. I haven't heard of this, and I was just like, "Why are you doing this? This is
They did it.
gross."
I don't know how they did it. Like I believe that was not fake. There's
You
no
don't think they brought a turnip from inside and like, look at this turnip?
no.
It's a greenhouse, guys.
Oh,
Well, the turnip was growing outside.
but it could have been grown in that greenhouse though.
Right. They definitely cut it in the middle because like the person takes it out, it's dirty, and then they like have like the camera switch, and then like someone has like taken the turnip inside, washed it, brought it back outside.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. So every house, this is like a something to do in other of these like reveal shows. Tanya drives up. You know, she steps out. It's like, hey, everyone, like I'm back. And it's like, wait, nobody knows you. And like, we got to go through this thing every single time. Like, it would be so much nicer just like, she's there talking to the builders. Tell me about what you did. Let's get rid of then like the shots of the kids, get the shots of the animals. Like, this is not making it better.
Like, more than that, like even when the car's just driving down the street, people are just standing on the sides cheering for a random like SUV.
that does remind me that when they're going to go to the reveal of the winning house, they had some weird like Santa bit with the car where they were like driving around. It was terrible. It was awful.
Yeah, that might be my winner for baffling.
That was so bad.
Since when is Santa a driver?
I
He's
mean,
always driving the sleigh.
Nah, Rudolph's pulling that shit.
Somebody's got to hold the reins
Rudolph's just the engine.
and the flashlight.
All right, so I'm gonna go over some minor minutia, but like raise your hand if you have one. I have the best one. Is that at the beginning of the show, there's some kid that's just screams, "I can't wait till Christmas," and it was amazing. It was later in the episode too, and I thought it was.
This was not amazing, Chris. This was the worst. This is my most cringy moment, but
I can't wait till Christmas.
I hate that kid. I hate the crowd shot.
What?
This was terrible.
He's got Christmas spirit.
Somebody
he's
needs to
raising
shove that kid in the snow.
He's raising that Christmas spirit meter. You know.
No, he seemed like a mean kid. He didn't seem like a nice kid.
In your guys' opinion, what's the best part about Christmas? Like the week leading up to Christmas or Christmas Day?
Getting
As
the
a kid
present.
or as an adult?
Wait, what?
As a kid or as an adult?
Let's go adult.
Time off work,
I'll second with Chris.
which
Vacations.
I have a lot of time off work now. Anyway, let's get to drinking rules because this show needs some drinking rules. I think the easy one here is anytime Tanya makes a joke, take a drink. 'Cause I think that's
Oh, I thought the easy one was gonna be every time they do the big reveal, take a shot.
that. I mean, you know, that's a good one too. Brian, what about you? You got one?
I don't have one.
Noah?
Every time you don't watch this, reward yourself with a drink.
James?
The best I got is every time you yawn or you catch someone you're watching the show with yawning, take a drink.
Is that a stock? That should be a stock rule.
Oh, new perma rule?
Max, do you have a drinking rule?
Every time a kid flosses, take a drink.
Well, that
The
was
one
pretty-
person flossing didn't even seem like a kid.
Oh no, there was like a group of like 3 kids flossing for a second.
I felt like one of them was like 20.
So Max, you have a special question for the show. Why don't you
Yeah.
look this up?
So let's say you were featured on the show. What would you do for your Christmas light fight?
I feel like the obvious would to make like a snowball fight theme, and you like have like lights that throw snowballs at each other. Like
I'm into it.
Chris, why is that obvious?
I don't know, because
It's
it's
so
a fight. It's a Christmas fight, snowball fight. Come on, get out of here.
It's a good idea. I'm just like, I think you might be the only one that was an obvious idea.
You got to play it cool, Noah. Why you got to break down the wall of the barrier?
I feel like it should have been an obvious idea, but there's just one smart person and 5 not so smart people on this call who didn't think of the obvious idea.
I think that if you're going to try to do this and win, you got to watch all the episodes and know what all the people have done so you can take good ideas and make them better. But
Do that.
that sounds like torture, so I wouldn't do that.
Could you like do it like a movie theme?
I don't know.
Whatever you want. Max, what do you think?
So, okay, here's my idea. So it's going to be like a haunted house, but instead of skeletons, there's like Santa and elves. And when they jump out, you don't get scared, you get delighted.
I like it. That's very cool. Does Santa like pop out with like a little gift, little present?
Yeah, sure. And you're just like, oh, it's Santa.
Ah,
But in
Santa.
reality, when it jumps out, I will still get scared.
Yeah. I don't want to say anything.
What if? Okay, wait. What if like when it's about to jump out, you hear some jingle bells, so you know it's about to happen?
I actually think this should be like a haunted house thing where you just do Christmas theme haunted house. The opposite works better, I think.
Like a scary Santa? Like what's wrong with you? You're not getting the holiday, man. It's the wrong holiday.
Not exactly.
I mean,
That's what I'm saying. Like for Halloween, you do a Christmas themed haunted house for Halloween though. I agree. Like I think the opposite works really well where you do like a scary Santa, scary elves. The elves are like crawling towards you.
I mean, the
like
whole
there's an
idea of
opportunity.
I think
whole
a
idea
good
of-
theme would be
Yeah.
Rosebud Motel.
Rosebud, but the whole idea of Santa breaking in to your house is a little scary on any day outside of Christmas. There's some guy dressed awkwardly breaking in. You don't know how he got there. Looks kind of
Well, you know
dirty
how he
because
got
he came down a chimney,
Right.
right? Like,
Brian, what about you? You have a theme for yours?
I was definitely thinking along the lines of like, so you know how some houses do like, hey, we're broadcasting on this station, sit out here and like watch this show. I was kind of thinking of like doing like a story with like the lights. So like, oh, you just like tune in and then you're just watching the scene unfold. It would be complicated as hell, but it'd be cool.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think that there's a couple options that people like can do with this, right? One, obviously, there's no Christmas trees they really showed. I think you can take the whole Christmas tree and like blow that out.
There was a Christmas tree in like the teddy bear land, but they didn't really show it.
Another one, none of them were interactive. That I can recall, like, and so doing something like, hey, when they push this, it changes the colors, or like there's like again something you can play with. I think would be a big winner in the show.
I want to go on a slight tangent right now because you mentioned like you're okay with Santa breaking into your house one day, and I just feel like the whole, if your kids stop listening, the whole Santa thing is very dumb. Like, why are you lying to your kids about this? I feel like you shouldn't lie to your kids. Why are we lying to our kids like this?
So I've been thinking about this the last few days a little bit more. And I don't know why it's dumb. Like, it's dumb on one hand, but like, is it really dumber than like any other supernatural stuff?
For me, it's just like on a moral level, you're just lying to your kids flat out for like a decade. Why?
I mean,
So
okay. Let me, Chris. Your 6-year-old comes up one day and says, "Where do babies come from?" Do you just tell them, "Oh, a stork flies them in," or do you go into, "Here's what a sperm is"?
I mean, you don't have to go from stork to like, the
Right.
penis into the vagina. I don't know off the top of my head what I would say, but like, I'm sure there's a logical way to like not lie to your kid about
I think for a lot of people, they would just say like, hey, when two people love each other, they decide to have a child, and they can do that.
And then we can move on. Like, would you
You
like a
assume
cookie?
kids don't ask follow-up questions.
Yeah.
You just
A lot of
assume-
kids are
I don't know
inquisitive.
follow question, but like I feel like that'll be the line a lot of people will go down. They will not like I don't actually think people that we would hang out with would go to the stork story. I don't think that's actually real for most people we know in 2020. And like you're not gonna go into the science of it because the kid's 6 in your hypothetical situation.
So I get where you're coming from, Chris. There is something special about like the suspension of encouraging imagination that I think is super fun for a child. And so I don't know if like Santa's the right thing, but like believing in things I think is pretty special that is reserved for youth. So whether it's Santa or not, like I do think having these things in life are kind of nice to have.
Well, we can just tell them about the stock market, Noah. It's fine. They can believe in that.
There you have it. Kid asked
can-
about Santa. There's
you can
no
believe-
Santa.
you
You
can believe-
gotta invest in the stocks. The world is old.
They can believe in the almighty dollar and the currency. And the
Let me
US
tell you about some
government
AAA bonds, kid.
and our glorious leader.
What the difference is between telling kids about Santa and people telling other people about like a lot of religious stuff.
I just the thing here is that like if you're telling people about religious stuff, like you believe it. Like that's what you believe in. Whereas like
I
you
don't
know
think
Santa is
people-
not real and
I
you
think
lie to your
people
kid about it.
telling religious stuff really believe it.
Agree.
Well, I'm just saying that like when you're actively telling people that the difference to me is like if you're actively lying or not.
Right.
Like if you know if you're lying, like maybe you shouldn't be telling your kid that. I think that's, a stance that I'd be on.
So, Chris, Chris, you have a 4-year-old, right? 4-year-olds can talk, they can talk to each other, right? Your 4-year-old comes to you and says, hey, everyone's talking about the Santa guy. What's up? What do you tell your kid? And then how did that kid not spoil it for other kids?
No. I think that's.
I don't care. I don't care if my kid spoils it for other kids.
Oh,
No.
man, you're not going to make a lot of friends in the PTA.
Yeah. Chris, you should care because you don't want your kid to be like beaten up at school. Like that's what. But like the
Look.
real thing is, Chris is to be fair to Chris here. The question is about like why are parents doing this at all, not about what should you now do to combat this, right? That's a secondary question. It's like, is this a reasonable thing for us to be doing as a society? Is first question. And then you can talk about if that's a no, then like, hey, how should you be reacting given now that the society is being unreasonable?
No, you know what I'd say? I'd say go ask your mom because I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, Vijay, I get that framing, but one's like so theoretical and like, hey, should we do something where I'm saying what's in your control is.
But also, just to be clear, like a lot of kids grow up without believing in Santa, like including yours truly over here.
I'm just saying I would not lie to my kid. So
I
Either
guarantee
change the
you will be
subject-
lying to your kid in many different ways.
sure. In some ways, sure. I just don't think that we all as a society need to decide that we're going to lie to all our 5-year-olds.
I that's what I was bringing up the society question. Yeah, see, Chris is on the same thing.
All right, let's move on to our second favorite question. What's the production schedule on this one look like? So do
Last
we
year.
assume that this was filmed last year, right?
The Insta post for whatever Tanya, right? It says it's all filmed pre-COVID. So yeah,
I mean, it would have to be with all these people together,
right.
right? So we have to assume next year's has to be filmed COVID, right? Or they just skip a year.
Or
don't know
the
if you-
extra footage lying around.
Maybe.
They have to film this in the winter. Like, could they just be filming this in like June and everybody's putting coats on at night?
No, because no one's going to set up their lights in the middle of June for this stupid
They
show.
would if they're on this damn show for a chance of $50,000.
Maybe.
And would also explain why there was no other houses in any of the shots with any lights on. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
On that note, I did have a question for everyone. So where do you store this shit? Not like when it's
Oh, it's a
not
disaster.
winter.
It's a disaster.
Like,
Yeah.
Well, okay, so we saw 4 houses. All 4 of them were like basically middle of nowhere houses, so they have space. One of them seemed like the mechanical engineerings of the last house. They had like the like different drawers for different types of screws set up like in the freaking hardware store. That was in their house. Clearly, these people like are doing this kind of shit all the time. It's not a problem.
oh, my real question, I guess, is if you're Chaz, do you keep that like fake like town up, or do you take it down?
It's definitely not permanent. It's not built to be permanent.
Didn't
It-
seem like it.
It might last a year.
But like every year, you're gonna rebuild that thing? I can't.
No,
That's why I think he takes it down and he stores it, and it's not like out in the weather. And
I don't think he stores it. I think he had made it like I think he will do something different every year.
I don't know.
Yeah, one thing though, I gotta take a quick step back on the production. I think they will have this next year. This show I think is very COVID friendly. If you get rid of the neighbors like cheering and clapping, you now have one host. You have a couple people like that you're going to the house to. I think that's very manageable compared
And
to
you
some
all
of the other
outside.
shows.
So like that it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, I think you can pull this off very easily.
Sounds better
At
too.
times.
Just cut that
I mean-
crowd right out of there.
My only issue with that is next year, COVID Christmas. I don't want to be reminded of COVID.
You don't have to be.
I'm just saying.
We're just saying make the show better and get rid of the worst part, which is the crowd.
The worst part is the show is 40 minutes. That's
Right.
the worst part about this show.
The
That's
worst
10
part
minutes
of the
of crowd.
show is the show.
All right.
The
Here's my pitch to make this show better.
we never agreed on the production schedule.
That we know was last year. That's what we agreed on.
Oh, I thought we were discussing like how long it takes, like how do they do it, right? Like the schedule, not just when they did it.
Oh my god, the minutia of the production. We
That's
gotta.
what we discuss every week. I thought that was the same as last week.
The best part of the podcast.
God.
I think it's a 2-week schedule. 2 hosts do different routes. They have one crew with them. They go all the houses. Like they'll do like one a night. Move on. That's
Which
Which
is why
bus.
they have a bunch of like extra footage. Like they filmed like 30 houses, and then they're like, okay, for season 8, we're gonna use these 20, and then they're like, oh, we'll have these 10 left over. We'll use the next.
Oh, I don't think so. There's 6 episodes per season, I think. So that James is
Short
rolling his
season.
eyes. So it's 24 houses divided by 2. I just think they just do 14 houses and do one each night over 2 weeks.
Right.
So I don't think they have any extra footage. Maybe a house or 2, but not like crazy.
On,
Anyway,
on AMC, you can watch an episode every day on the 28th, the 29th, the 30th. Like, who after Christmas is turning on AMC and be like, this is the show I want to watch an episode of every fucking day?
talk about minutia.
Yeah, I always
Uh,
thought AMC did like Goodfellas back to back with The Godfather during the holidays.
That's expensive, Noah. This is cheap.
Yeah. That's what their like niche was. You know, like the,
So let's get on to our favorite question. Let's do our ratings. So we do a stack ranking system where we stack them in different buckets, middle, bottom, top, third compared to other reality shows. And some people might stack rank in their own stack ranks. Brian, what do you got for me?
I'm putting this in the middle. It definitely reminded me a lot about like traveling around different neighborhoods and like looking at the lights. And I'm definitely going to suggest this show to my mom.
VJ, what do you got for me?
This is bottom, middle.
So
No,
bottom,
sorry.
third, middle of the bottom.
Bottom, third, middle of the bottom, yes.
Max, what do you got for me?
Third, middle of the bottom. It would be bottom of the bottom if not for the animatronics house.
I agree.
James, what do you got for me?
See, the show, like, it's a very positive show and all that jazz, but it's just a real yawn.
It's
It
insipid.
drags on. It's so long. And like what so at the end it's a bottom third, but I'll put it at the top. Like it's it's just it's too long. It's too long. Make it shorter.
No, what do you got for me?
Similar to James, it's in the bottom, but top of the bottom. Like there are good things about it. Like you get to see these different light setups, and I think that it has an appeal to it to a degree. But yeah, the execution is just saps the Christmas spirit right out of you. So bottom, top of the bottom.
I'm gonna go with bottom third. I'm not gonna stack rank. I don't know. It's close to bottom of the bottom. Like the cinematography, the camera work, the host, all garbage. It's all too long. Like 10 minutes per house. Like, and I don't even feel like I'm there. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Whoever's involved in this needs to be fired. It could be so much. Like, I think the concept for the show is kind of cool. Could be so much better. Like, you could take this footage, cut it to 20 minutes, and it would be infinitely better. But if you got somebody else in there, like, get the like Mythbusters production crew out there. Like, they did an amazing job on their like last season. It looks so cool. Like, get Adam Savage. He would be amazing host for this. So bottom third, terrible, but like it's more depressing because it has like potential. Max, you are raising your hand.
I think we need to introduce a new question to our list of questions.
Okay.
Would the show be better as a Quibi?
That is a good question. I do like it. Too
or
soon.
Maybe we can just be like, would this show be better as a Snapchat show?
I
Sure.
like Quibi though.
The concept of Quibi is funnier.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
this would be a good Snapchat show, kind of.
Right? Like you just see the lights. It's like, and I feel like a phone, like when you watch stuff like this on a phone, it really kind of gives you like the lights can make a bigger impact on your face, like them turning on.
Yeah. And I
I'm sure
feel like you
that's-
just got to cut the host. Like the host is so superfluous. Like, just get her out of there. Just show me the lights. Get out of the way. So everyone got updates this week. Brian, you have an update this week or shout out? Sorry.
Oh no.
Shout out this week. The challenge is back, guys. I don't know. Our annually run show is now back. So people might talk about it. I wasn't a huge fan of episode 1. There's a lot of, I'm still kind of blasé on it all. So everyone else has to take all their love for it and bring it to the show.
I like the rules. The rules are good. Some are still unclear to us, but whatever I've seen, I like it.
What are the rules you like, VJ, for the people?
Like everyone's seen it. Like I'm not just spoiler.
You're not spoiling it.
Okay.
You're spoiling to the audience, but
Right. Spoiler for the audience. What do I like? That there's limited skulls, so limited people will make it. There's themes, but the teams can change. And so like just stuff like that. There's just more moving parts where like it'll make it more likely for people to have more interesting strategy. And like, there'll be more of a brain game involved in terms of strategies. So I just like that.
James muted because he didn't want to be spoiled.
I asked.
All right, Max, you have a shout out? No, Noah, you have a shout out?
I got 2. One is Queen's Gambit. I know that's been out for a bit, but finish it. It's great. It deserves the praise it gets. And the other one, I just got to do 2 weeks in a row for How To with John Wilson, because it's just that damn good and people should watch it.
+1, great show.
What is this show? Tell me more about this.
How To with John Wilson. It's on HBO Max. Take Nathan For You, but in the premise of trying to figure out how to do something that takes like very unexpected twists and turns on how to figure out how to do that thing. So one of the episodes is like how to make risotto, which then goes down like one of his own personal missions that brings him to the woods somewhere. It's like and then it goes back to him making risotto.
Noah's doing an awful job selling the show.
I agree.
Watch the first episode, give it 5 minutes. It is delightful. It is not easy to describe.
Got it.
All right. James, do you have a shout out? All right. Well, that's it for us this week. Oh, VJ, I thought you already shouted out the challenge. If you want to shout out.
I was just answering your question about the challenge.
Okay.
I might have already shouted this out in previous weeks, but The Flight Attendant, also on HBO Max. Excellent show. Series finale is tomorrow, I guess. So I will be watching that tomorrow. Excellent show. Yeah, Kaylee Cuoco's lead. If you don't know who that is, she is the lead actress from Big Bang Theory. Does an excellent job. And yeah, it's a mini series, so you don't have to commit a long part of your life to it. And 9 episodes later, you'll be done. But yeah, excellent show.
I'm going to shout out The Young and the Restless. If you really want to give your life to something, that's it. Just sit down, you watch forever.
The soap opera?
Yes.
Nice.
Those are
Will that ever end?
Also, HBO Max, I just finished my rewatch of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. If you haven't seen it, what have you been doing for the last 30 years? Probably should go and watch it.
Just like all of it, or like.
I just finished watching, doing the whole rewatch, day before yesterday, I think.
He's been doing a lot of work lately.
He's been doing a rewatch of Fresh Prince for the past 20 years. Let's be honest.
No. I've only
Continuous.
been able to do it ever since HBO Max launched, because it wasn't available anywhere before that. So ever since HBO Max was launched, I've been, I started it, and then, it's been more, sometimes less, sometimes. I'd seen all the episodes. I did not run into episodes I had not seen before, but it was highly, highly entertaining. And I was quite sad at the last episode.
That reunion was pretty good.
Reunion was also really good. Yeah, agreed.
I watched the reunion, and I haven't really watched Fresh Prince in 20 years. So, all right. Well, that's it for us this week. You can find us on Twitter at whoputthison. You can find us on Facebook.com/whoputthison. You can email us questions, suggestions at whoputthison@gmail.com. See you guys next time. Welcome to Who Put This On, Season 5, Episode 30, where we watch the Great Something Light Fight.
The Great American Light Fight.
It's great.
Great Christmas.
Light fight.